am inevitable. And I'm Copano Rickey. Copano Rickey is said to be the strongest ꜱᴄᴅ, but how much should that actually scare you? I'll be telling you everything you need to know about this brand new ꜱᴅ coming global, so I can answer for you whether it's worth picking this ꜱᴅ up, and we can learn more about this so-called bringer of victory. Let's get into it. Now, starting with the basics, Copano Rickey comes with a respectable 10% power growth and a 20% wit growth. Typically we want speed, power or wit growth, so we are off to a pretty good start here. This does mean that we will want a good core of strong speed cards in order to help max out Copano's speed stat, but that power bonus does mean that whenever we do train on speed, we are going to get a nice bonus to our power, and that should help keep our speed and power nice and leveled, which is always very good. That 20% wit bonus is very nice, as it means, we might be able to drop a wit card still at a reasonable level of wit, allowing room for that extra speed card that you're probably going to want to run on this ꜱᴅ due to the lack of that speed growth. So it's already off to a good start with this ꜱᴅ. Let's look at her aptitudes to get a better picture of what she's all about. Now, one thing that's going to jump out right away is the F in turf and the A in dirt. Yeah, Copano Rickey is one of that small group of ꜱᴅs that prefer to get a bit down and dirty. You can always run this character on turf if you are dedicated enough. We've seen from characters like Smart Falcon, this is an immense amount of work. She's really going to be at home at dirt tracks, and there's going to be a couple more things we'll get into later that reinforce that. Looking at her distances, we see that the main thing that we would want to see on a dirt ꜱᴅ, and that is aptitudes in mild and medium. This is the majority of the dirt tracks. Though seeing sprints means that it's fairly easy to turn her into a dirt sprinter if you want to. Then looking at her strategy aptitudes, we see that we are finally getting another viable dirt frontrunner. Rickey will love running in a team with either variant of Smart Falcon, either the original version or the new variant that we'll be getting with the release of Grand Life. I'll talk more about her in the future. Rickey is also runnable as a pace chaser with the recent buffs. This is very viable for those that don't have another dirt front. This is likely how you're going to run her. Lets you do something rather than force a Taiki shuttle into the front runner position, which is a bit awkward if you don't have a Smart Falcon of your own. She also does have a C in late, which will make her not too hard to build as a late surger. This is another running style that has been buffed quite substantially recently, and this level of flexibility is really going to help Rickey out. It means that everybody outside of dedicated and closer players are not going to have a hard time adapting this ꜱᴅ to their preferred running style. But let's get into what truly makes this ꜱᴅ stand out, and that it all ties into her incredibly powerful and unique ultimate. Luck Runs My Way is a skill that is quite unlike anything we've seen in the game, so let's look at it. In the second half of the mid-race, your speed and acceleration will increase depending on the amount of green skills you've activated. Let's break this down a little bit. As a baseline, this ultimate will give you an increase of 0.25 speed for 5 seconds, and we can increase this by adding green skills onto our build that match the track we are running on. 1 to 2 adds 0.5 speed and excel, and 3 to 5 adds 0.1 speed and excel. However, if you can complete the Rickey quest and assemble all 6 green skills, then you will get the maximum power, her ultimate ult. Her ult in this case will gain an additional 0.15 speed and excel, and this makes it a total of 0.4 speed, because yes, it stacks, and 0.15 excel for 5 seconds, which is incredibly powerful when we factor in the rest of the activation conditions on the skill. Looking at the activation conditions, all we see is that we need to be in the late mid-race. Well, late mid-race is just another way of saying halfway through mid-race. This means this is very likely to proc just in time before the Excel Zone late race. This is going to give us speed carryover and Excel and barrel us straight through to a victory with just absolutely unstoppable might. It's very similar to 777s from Ogre Recaps, so that is quite the ultimate, and it's certainly among the highest power levels that we've seen in the entire game, with a massive caveat. In order to unlock its full potential, it's going to require a fair bit of work on the player's work in order to ensure that Rickey has all 6 greens that she needs. So expect to be building legacies in order to pass down green skills like Restraint from Sweet Tosho in order to maximize this character. Let's take a look at Copano Rickey's skills and see what she has going on for her and how it helps out her game plan. She innately comes with Pace Chaser Savvy, which is being very nice. She does have that innate Pace Chaser aptitude, and it is one of the 6 screens that we'll be looking for, but this by no means does lock her into being a Pace Chaser. As we said before, she's got a viability as a front and also as a late. Medium corners for medium is a very good skill. It is very efficient, very nice to have, fairly cheap, but it is locked into medium, so it's not generic, but this is still very fine. There are plenty of dirt mediums, so you will get use out of the skill. Sunny Sign is something that we've seen before on OG Smart Falcon. You can get it as an event, but at a base cost of 180 skill points for a duration of 2.4 seconds at 0.15 speed, this skill is pretty underwhelming in terms of value. If we compare it to something really good like Umamusume, it's not really as efficient. We want to be spending our skill points on the most efficient skills possible, but at the end of the day it is still a speed skill, and you can take it as an option if you have nothing else better, or you just try and get it cheaper through inheritance. It really picks up though when we look at her awakenings. First things first about Rickey, she comes with 2 brand new green skills that we don't have in the game to help her get the most out of her ultimate: Solid Steps and its gold version, Strong Steps. This increases speed when your power attribute is above a certain value. I'll put that on screen for both versions of the skill. The gold version notably gives you 80 speed if you can get your power above 1200, which is utterly incredible. This is equivalent to 2 single circle speed skills, so say if you had Summer Runner and Right-handed at level 1, well, this is equivalent to what this gold skill is giving you, so it's really strong. The only downside here is that the skill is locked to dirt, but since this is a dirt Uma, that doesn't really affect her primary game plan. Her second green skill, Collaborative Graded Races, is another speed green, because apparently having one wasn't good enough for Rickey. The conditions for this are rather simple. The race just needs to be a dirt G1 that takes place in any of the following locations, and that would be Kawasaki, Funabashi, Morioka, and Oi. Sorry, I don't speak Japanese, so if my pronunciation's off, I'm sure someone's going to correct me in the comments on those. But yeah, any of those tracks, and you just get a second green skill. So we're actually already up to 3, which is really good. We just need to source the other 3 ourselves if we are running her as Pace Chaser. Since any time that dirt shows up on the G1s, and a majority of the dirt G1s take place in these locations, these greens should pretty much always be alive. And then her last awakened skill that we haven't talked about is the upgraded form of Sunny Sign, which you'll remember from earlier in the video, upgrades it to a 0.35 for 2.4 seconds from a 0.15 for 2.4 seconds, so this is actually a pretty decent upgrade. That is quite a big amount of speed, but it's still very expensive, and it is for 2.4 seconds, which is standard, but it's not for 3 seconds, so this skill, its main issue is that it's just expensive, but there will be conditions where you take it, because generally just having gold speed skills is a good thing, even if they are just average. Thankfully, one massive advantage of Global Hand when it comes to building Rickey is our gift of Future Sight. We have been given absolute clarity. There are no vague prophecies. We know exactly what tracks we are getting, the weather conditions they will be in as well. Since we don't get that many dirt CMs each year, this should give you plenty of time between each CM in order to prepare what you need in order to build a Rickey for each track. Now you could go and build a Rickey for turf, however, then you're automatically down 2 green skills for her kit, and then alongside that you need to get past G rank turf aptitude up to at least A, which means this character really struggles to be built on turf tracks, especially without the to buff her ultimate. That's going to make her a lot weaker. So the final thing we need to consider when pulling anything in this game is the opportunity cost of doing so. That is to say, if we are pulling on this banner, we aren't pulling on something else, and there's a very important banner right by Ricky's release. Yep, once again, this banner has the bad fortune of being right next to Agnes Tachyon Light Hello, which is one of the most anticipated banners we've had so far in Global. It's going to be very demanding on most people's carrots, and I think that's going to make a lot of sense for people to pull on their support cards in order to have a deck that keeps up with the game's power creep. At the end of the day, if you don't have the right support cards, it hampers your ability to build every Uma compared to not having a character, which just hampers your ability to compete on certain tracks only, or if you're making parent runs. Now, the nice thing about getting an Uma is that typically I only recommend you need 30,000 because you only need one copy of an Uma at the end of the day. It's pretty likely that you pull it before you go to pity, but it's just if you ever pull, you always want to be able to go to pity, so you're at least getting some value out of your carrots and you're avoiding a worst case situation. The value of Ricky can be a little bit hard to quantify because she is a character which remains meta for multiple years, but it's got a few caveats on that multiple years. We've seen in other servers that yes, Ricky is very strong on dirt if she's well built, but there aren't actually many dirt CMs, so if you compare it to more standard meta characters like Ogre Recap or your Bourbons, they are going to get a lot more use just because there's more races per year that they can actually run on, and this makes the statement, Copano Rickey is meta for years, slightly less impressive in this context. Now, after the Leo Cup, the Sprint CM, the Virgo Cup will be a dirt CM, and it's going to be a medium of 2,000 meters, to be precise. Now, for some of you, just hearing that it's going to be that distance will have put a certain kind of fear into your heart, because you already know what's coming. There is a certain Uma who is incredibly powerful on that distance. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about Christmas Ogre Recap, the absolute demon of Champions meeting herself. And with her dirt affinity, she is more than capable of being built for this distance and is set out to be incredibly strong on that track. I say this because if you don't possess your own Christmas Ogre, this is going to be a character that actually has a decent chance of beating her. I feel like Ricky very much is going to compete against Christmas Ogre Recap. You know, they've got sort of like a Goku Vegeta going on. They're just everybody else is basically a side character while these two battle it out for the top spot of the Virgo Cup, so that's something to look forward to. If you have your own Christmas Ogre Recap, maybe you don't need to pull this character because, like I said, you've already got something really strong on dirt that's going to be able to compete. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Will you be pulling for the bringer of victory, or will you be saving your carrots for something else? If you found this video helpful, any engagement you can throw my way is super useful. See you in the next video.